Okay everyone, in this video we are going to be talking about common factoring. Remember that in distributive property, we removed the brackets to make one large equation. There was something outside of the brackets that needed to be put into the brackets. Well, common factoring is when you want to go backwards from that. You need to remove something from every term. Common factoring is the opposite of distributive property. Here, I'm pulling the 4 into my brackets. In this example, I'm removing the 4 from every single term. This is why it's important to review factoring, because this is an example of when we are going to use it. When you are common factoring, you're going to keep track of your thinking this way. To the left, in front of your brackets, this is where you're going to put everything that you could factor out of your expression. Just like we have the 4 on the outside of the brackets for distributive property, the 4 right here, or the number here, is everything that you could pull out from your total term. Everything else is where you are going to put, everything in between the brackets is where you're going to put the leftovers. The leftovers are going to be in the same order and with the same sign, so plus or minus, as before. The leftovers go in the brackets, everything that you could pull out goes in front of the back brackets. Let's do a first example, super easy. Factor 2x plus 2y fully. Step number 1 is to figure out what we can factor out from all terms. You need to think about numbers and variables. Let's just start by thinking about numbers. Between 2x and 2y, I can factor out a 2. Both terms have a 2. Now I need to look at variables, my letters, x and y. They don't have anything in common, they're two different letters, so there's nothing out that I can do. I'm going to start my answer by putting 2 in front of empty brackets. Next, I need to figure out what the leftovers are. I'm going to divide each term in my original equation by what I factored. I'm going to write the result inside the brackets in the same order and with the same sign. So let's do that. My first term was 2x. I'm going to divide 2x by 2. Here, I can cross off my 2's and that just leaves me with x. So I'm going to stick an x in my answer. I also had a 2y. I'm going to divide 2y by 2. Remember, we're dividing everything by what you were able to factor out. 2y divided by 2, again, I'm crossing off my 2's, just leaves me with y. There was a plus sign in between, so I'm going to put a plus sign here, and then I'm going to write y. And that is my factored form. That is my answer. Let's do a few more. So factor 8x squared minus 14x. First, I need to find what the terms have in common. Between 8 and 14, there is a common factor, the greatest common factor of 2. So I can pull 2 out. Between x squared and x, well, there's 2 x's here and 1 x here. The lowest number of x's is 1, so I can pull out an x out front. Now I am done. Now I need to figure out what goes in the middle here, so I'm going to start. I had an 8x squared, and I divide that by everything that I was able to pull out. So here I was able to pull a 2x, so I'm going to divide that by 2x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. X squared divided by x. So we can imagine that this is x over x. I can see my x's cross off, so I'm left with 4x. So I have a 4x at the beginning of my answer here. Now let's do the same thing for 14x. I need to divide it by 2x. Remember, I'm dividing it by the number in front of my bracket. 14 divided by 2 is 7. X and X just cancel each other out, so 7 is my answer. I'm going to put a 7 here, and there was a minus sign in between, so I'm going to leave it as a minus, and there's your final answer. Next example, 49x cubed minus 7x squared minus 21x. Okay, first you have to think about the numbers. I know that 7 goes into each of these terms, so I'm going to pull 7 out front here. Next, I need to think about my letters. I can see that there's an x in each one of the terms. I need to figure out what is the fewest number of x's. I have 3 x's, 2 x's, and 1 x. So I'm going to pull 1 x out here. Now I need to divide all of my terms by what I had pulled out. So let's start 49 x cubed over 7x. I'm going to rewrite this so I can see how many x's I have. I have 3 x's. 49 x over 7x. 49 divided by 7 is 7. I cross off some of my x's. I'm left with 2 x's. So this is going to be 79 or 7x squared is my first term. Next I'm going to do 7x squared divided by 7x. Again, you can rewrite this to have multiple x's. 7x over 7x. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so we don't need to write anything. I scratch out some of my x's, those cross off, and I am left with a singular x. So I'm going to add an x here, and there was a minus sign in between, so I'm going to put my minus sign there. Finally, 21x divided by 7x. 21 divided by 7 is 3. X and x cancel out, so 3 is my last bit there. I add a 3 to the end. I see there was a minus sign beforehand, so I put the minus sign back, and there is my final answer. Let's look at our last example here. A little bit more complicated because there's more terms and more letters. First, let's look at the numbers. 8, 4, 16, 12. What is the greatest common factor between all of those? It's going to be the number 4. Now I need to look and see, okay, first I'm going to start by checking my y's. Do I have y's in every single term? Oh, the answer is yes. I'm going to put a y here. How many y's can I take? This one has 1, there's 3, there's 5, and there's 2. Well, 1 is the smallest number, so I can only take 1. 1 is going to be it. What about x's? X cubed, x squared, x. Oh, and there's no x's here. There's not an x in every single term, so I can't take an x here. I am done. I'm going to go ahead and now start dividing each term by what I had. 8y x cubed divided by 4y. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Y's cancel out, and I have an x cubed. So I have 2x cubed as my first term. Next, let's do 4y cubed x squared divided by 4y. 4 and 4 is just 1. I have 3 y's here minus 1 y, leaves me with 2 y's. And I have an x squared that's hanging around, so I have x squared there. There is a positive sign, a plus sign in between, so I'm going to do plus y squared x squared. Next, I need to do 16xy 5 divided by 4y. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 5y's minus y is 4y's. And I have an x left over. There is a minus sign this time, so minus 4y to the power of 4x. And finally, 12y squared divided by 4y. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 2y's minus 1y leaves me with 1y. So 3y is what's left over. There's a plus sign here, so I'm going to do plus 3y. So my final answer in factored form is that 4y times 2x squared plus y squared x minus 4y4x plus 3y. And that's that, folks. That's how you common factor.